Test, test. Mic check. Mouse. Keyboard. Two G's. Where's this thing plugged into? I just want to be comfortable, man. Anywho's. Test, test. Hello. Blake Ninja here. Not only a gamer, but an economist and teacher, instructor. Yeah, we're gonna test this thing out. This is more going to be a start of something I've been wanting to try, which is instructional videos. More just putting some of the things that I'm trying to learn deeper myself into action. So I guess fully grasp the concepts, but at the same time share these discoveries with others so we can kind of just discover stuff together, which is kind of the foundation of education, right? So recently I've decided to take a teaching assessment test for like grade school teaching certifications here in my state. And the first one that I know that I can do without any issue would be economics. It's what I got my undergrad in after my like third choice. It's what I would get my master's in, and I got like a 5 on the AP exam in high school, and it's just something I just remember. Like it's just once you learn it, feel like, and you really learn it, which I had a really good teacher and style coach share it. Once you get it, it's like it's stuck. I kind of feel like it's stuck with you for life, and it's necessary, I think, for good business or for good um, management of assets or utilities. It's, you know what I mean? One of the modules in this course is actually financial literacy, which is, you know what I mean? It's really important. Really, really important. I don't know, I don't believe that was covered so much in economics when I was in school, oh, so long ago, in the so long. But the fact that they're covering now is a little bit more important. I'm sure they're covering stuff that I kind of had questions about, like crypto or financial things that we didn't really cover in my economics class. I just had to kind of figure it out on my own. It just wasn't in the curriculum at that time, so I'm happy it's a little bit more important overview of what I plan to, I guess, re-go over as I prepare for this test that I honestly plan to take like in a week. Wish me luck. Reading through the information, you know, I want to say they recommend up to 6 weeks preparation. 6 to 6 to 9, I believe, which is great. So yeah, 100, select response or multiple choice. Yeah, the constructed response for questions is what would get me. Because I remember for the AP exam, I had a lot of charts and explanations of economic situations. And since that's not the case, yeah, yeah. So yeah, it's a 2.5-hour test. I think most of them are structured this way. I'm going to create a study plan. Took a practice assessment, and that's where it just boosted my confidence to the top, where I'm just like, yeah, I think I could do this in a week, and also kind of just make videos where I cover the material. Like I said, reinforce the information for myself, but also help anyone who might need some, I guess, better examples or talk throughs, and because I am going to try to mix in my own examples to myself, like maybe game analogies or something like that. Stuff that I would like if I was explaining to my kid, which I've started doing, and that's kind of also why I wanted to do these things. Is he's into the YouTube just like his father, and he watches a lot of videos. He watches us as well, so giving him just something he can learn from, as well as be entertained. I think it's just the combination, one of the best, best of both worlds. So, uh, I can't see everything on screen. I don't think any of this is like. I know some of this I probably can't show everything because paywall, but we haven't gotten to that part yet. Let's see. So they had me do an assessment, and I won't even really show you too much of that. Just show that I do have to respond to them because there was a couple answers. So I got a 70. This is another, like I said, as far as discouragement. So I got a 75, but I actually there's two answers on here that are incorrect that I'm going to contact them about to get corrected. This is just the wrong number. And honestly, I feel like that one honestly would be a good example of what to use. I was going to use that example, but yeah, took the assessment. The assessment was supposed to, 60 minutes to 90. Took in like 40 with like I did no brush up, no study up, and essentially I got an 80. So I'm ready to go. um, get through this stuff and yeah, probably maybe just blur or we'll figure it out. But yeah, I beat the time. Almost aced it because some things were, as I was explaining to my family and my wife, it's like it's vocab stuff that I just have to remember the vocab. And then there was a few questions like this one. I'll have an example. Hold on. I feel like this one is very generic. Snipping tool. Where is it? Why is it not showing? That's weird. Okay, hold on. Let me just go to it. On. I'll turn this off. I want to show their assessment, but I am going to show this question because it's incorrect. So we can go over it real quick, but this is one of the examples of financial literacy that I'm just like, this is great. This is good stuff to know. I had to take a whole financing class in college to really get this because there was nothing in high school, and I was a, I guess I don't know. Just to give you a little background, I was a magnet student. That is a particular program. I mean, there's magnet schools all over the country. I want to say at some point they're just special schools that have special things that they try to teach at that school. And I went to school in Georgia in a school district called Cobb, and they had various programs like robotics and medical science and research, and like IB, which is International Baccalaureate, and performing arts. There was this various programs, and I was actually in the medical science and research. And with those, this came just different levels of academia requirements, and we had a test in middle school to get into the program. We had to like get a certain, what was it, the PSAT score. We, on top of other various tests, um, you had to apply. Some people didn't always make it in the first time. Sometimes you had to reapply like your freshman year in high school. There was a portfolio type gig associated. We had um, in the research portion of mine, we had to actually create a research project that had to do a lot of like teaching methodology and research results and and data gathering and all these things that really helped for college, but it was a lot. So with that, I took a lot of AP courses, and yeah, um, as I was discussing honestly recently at my school, I think they offered up to, it was like 16 or 17 AP courses because there's some schools that just offer, they don't offer as many. And in mine, they offered like 16 or 17. And I took as many as possible. I took about 15. Didn't pass all the exams, but I passed this one with a five, four and a five, or one of those. And definitely, it was a five. I don't think the macro was a full. It was a five. Um, no, because my teacher, he hung it up in his classroom because he was very surprised because I did. I can't lie. I slept a lot, but I understood. Well, my friend, shout him out, Ray. He actually told me over time. Took an exam, and I the way he described it is better than me. But essentially, I was asleep through half the test. I woke up halfway through the test, took the test, like went back to sleep, and I definitely either got an A or some high mark, some A or 89 or something. You know what I mean? It's like, eh. And that's when I kind of knew myself. I was like, I get this stuff. It's good. It's good stuff. All right, here's the question. Not crazy. Nope, not that window. Oop. I wonder if I can zoom in. So, actually, come here. You get this lesson too. Come on. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Oh, no, it's the same one that was going over the one I said I'm going to turn into the organization because it's wrong. Even this math right here is like, so it's about financial compensation packages, base salary, 5% performance bonus, 3% employee match for 401k. All right. But this breakdown they give is so wrong because 60,000 plus 3,000 plus 1,800 by their own calculations does not equal 66 300. It just that's not right. Even when I was trying to like do the extra math, of like, okay, they said employee match, so maybe they're talking about if you add your 1,800 to theirs. Yeah, that number's still wrong. Still wrong. So, because then it would be pull up my calculator. Because I don't want to be false. How was your? Hold on. Don't say nothing crazy yet. I'll do this last part and I'll stop this part of the video. All right. So yeah. So quadrennial number 60,000 plus 3,000 plus 1,800. That's not the right answer. It's right there. And even the numbers, and I saw that when I was doing it, I'm just like, that's not right. But I was just like, maybe they're not talking about involving the 401k plan because technically that's retirement. But I don't know. I actually also know how HR considers things. And no, that's a part of the employee package. And what I wanted to get to, even technically in the weeds, is like the contribution is coming out of that. The contribution from you comes out of that 18, you know what I mean, or the 60,000. So if you contribute to the 401k, it's technically, 60,000 minus 1,800, huh? But it equals out, I guess, whatever. But that number was still completely wrong, which means I get that answer right, which means my score is actually higher than it was. Which either way doesn't matter because, like I said, the test recommended to be taken within 60 minutes to 90 minutes. I finished it in 40, and I got an 80. So, yep, I'm going to, like I said, teach myself while teaching, I guess, an audience through this course. And like I said, make sure I'm not giving up too much because there's a paywall to this. So it'll be mostly just me speaking through charts and situations and using my own examples. But I do plan on getting this test done like next week. That's the challenge. Sure. Because once again, they do recommend 6 to 9 weeks. I recommend the same. But this is just a subject matter that I like I said, I got my master's or I got my undergrad in and I will be getting my master's in. So I just understand it. So I would say if you are trying to get, into teaching, I would start with something that you understand or have an expertise in. So yeah, I'm gonna go there. Um, that's the three modules they have is microeconomics, which is precision decision making, domestic, not so much world, going over quick things like factors of production, which I already skimmed through this stuff, opportunity cost, possibility curves, all that stuff. I guess honestly, this information is kind of general. I think the testing is the part where they don't. I wouldn't show that because that's their stuff. Went over this. This honestly looks better on a computer than it does on a phone. See, what I will focus on is more of the vocabulary that I may have forgotten. Not very much, but 100 questions. This was 40, so 60 more. Positive incentives. Oh, incentive. Yeah. Let's see. This would be fun. Like, Bree, do you know what a you know you know what an incentive is, right? Right? How would you describe an incentive? Right. Encouraging. So the way they describe it is encouraging individuals or businesses to make decisions that align with their personal or financial interests, such as working harder for higher wages or investing in profitable ventures. I like it. So a positive incentive for you as an individual would be what? Huh? Yes. Bonus. Yes. What is a positive incentive as a business? Yes. Look at you. So you learned this stuff somewhere. Yes. Tax breaks, tax write offs. Yes. Subsidies, tax credits. Correct. Okay. 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 Now, I don't know if you know this one because you haven't worked in this industry yet. What is the what would be a incentive of the government? Positive. So we've been saying there are negative incentives, but I haven't. I'm not trying to confuse you. I guess you work with these kind of, you know what I mean. So like, what would be something that y'all would provide the government if y'all are trying to get something clear? Y'all be like, oh, we can provide not anything specific, but you know what I mean. No, not that. More like yes. I mean, in that realm, but yes, but not like I said, not necessarily. No, not a re-election, but like what things to influence that though. You know what I mean? Like, come on, it's, you're the like I said, you got to think from the government perspective. It's like say you thought of it right, correct the first time. Now it's like say you got to think it from as how you work now. How would y'all appease the government as an incentive for them to approve something of y'all? You do this all the time. For who? Yes, efficiency, clean energy, right? Those things that y'all right. Those are government. Those are things that they say okay that they can tell their bosses, right? Okay, this is what we can approve this because this company. You know what I mean? So yes. So look, okay, look, see what we're getting somewhere. Looky, looky, looky. Now this is why I do get confused because they're talking about negative stuff, and it's just like, yo, negative incentives. Oh, like getting fines for speeding. I'm like, negative incentives sound like it's like essentially a consequence, but to me, consequence can be put positive too, just like incentive SS can be used as interchangeable. You know what I mean? There's negative incentives, just like there's positive consequences. Sure, all right, words, English, and yes, they're talking about stuff like tickets or like businesses, pollution in ways. Yeah, inflation, crime. Okay, easy cheesy. Right, I got past here. These are the four different types of economic systems. Do you know these, Bree? No. These part of this, I can make this content because I'm helping you for a class. Apparently, she did take. Oh yeah, that's true. You're right. You did take it in college. Not, I took it in college. Put that business out there. I took that class, and it was such a wonderful refresher. But Well, because I didn't have to take my own. I passed the test, so I didn't have to take them. Uh, I'm just saying. I taught you economics before. I guess you're right. I'm sorry. My bad. So you don't remember the four systems? Traditional, command, market, mixed. We lived in a mixed economy, by the way. That means that we have the market part, right? Where we just allow, businesses to create, businesses to do their thing, right? But the command part is that Congress, right, and our government don't allow monopolies, right? So when Apple started doing too much, when Google started doing too much, like they've been, the government comes in and be like, knock that stuff off. And that's where we have the command economy. So it's a mix. Versus other governments that are more command economy, where it's like the government. I'm not going to say any names, but there are some countries we mentioned, right, where the government says, no, this is how y'all business operate, and the businesses have to operate that way, or else they won't be businesses anymore. You know what I mean? And the U.S. does that too. It just depends on what the businesses are doing. The only other one that's barely talked about is traditional economies, where they literally like is almost like bartering and like, hey, milk for milk, what it used to be, right? Like, yo, if you come from a family of farmers, you're gonna be a farmer. You come from a family of cobblers, which I think are cobblers are the stone people. Yeah, but like hunter gatherers, like what I mean. Like it's not super. It's still present today, but not super present. Um, Japan's a market economy. Most people are market economies today because everyone just wants money, right? Or mixed. Like I said, we're mixed. China's mixed. Most of the big countries, because like they want us to, flourish, but they don't want no company controlling the country. All right, which is we getting there with the Facebooks and all the other billion-trillion-dollar companies. Let's see. See, this is the part, Bree. Hold on. So what are you talking about? Business ownership. And yeah, where we're pretty capitalistic. Privately owned business versus government owned business and communism. Democratic socialism is the other one, which is major industries are owned by the government, all others are privately. What's an example of that, actually? Government pays for college education for those who qualify. We need a little bit of. No, they ain't gonna do that. Sorry, let me stop. Cost too much. As an economist, it costs too much. We got to make some investments to get us out this hole. All right, more of this command, mixed economies, pure market economy, pure command. I don't think those exist anymore, but sure, let's talk about, or to some state, free enterprise systems. Okay, free trade does not exist anymore. Economic system where countries can trade with each other without tariffs, quotas, or restrictions. Them used to be the good days. We were not alive because it's always been tariffs, restrictions, and quotas since like the world started trading with each other. Especially like, for example, my favorite country, right, Japan, is notorious for like cutting off other countries back in the day. They didn't really open up the economy to world trade until I want to say the 60s or something like that. But they had some cool stuff. That's what it was like. They actually had some cool stuff. We wanted their stuff, but they also love. McDonald's is everywhere now, so everyone loves McDonald's. McDonald's is a world American international economy treasure. Let's see. Also, yeah, free trade leads to monopolies or whatever. Hmm. Market structures, competition, pure competition, good stuff. Monopolies, bad stuff. One supplier of a product, no competition, limited resources, increasing returns of scale. Essentially, what Apple be doing. Like, we love Apple, but once they start charging, or once you find out that it takes $200-300 to make an iPhone, but they're charging us $1,000 to buy an iPhone, it's like, what are we doing? And then we got to buy one in the next 3 years. So that's the idea of monopolies and things like the returns is even increasing the returns to scale where it's like it doesn't make sense. It's costing y'all $200. It used to be 600, but now it's 1,000. They talking about these phones might be this flip phone. You know what I mean? 1,400, 1,500. I'm talking to you in the audience. By the way, this is being recorded. This is not live. So I can edit some of this, but I'm probably not. Key takeaway. Oligopoly. Let's say oligopoly. That's probably the one you probably don't remember, Bree. It's like the conglomerates, or like, so the example they have is like Coca-Cola, Pepsi, and Royal Crown, which are all beverage companies that control. They are the, you know what I mean? They are the beverage companies though, but they do compete with each other. Unlike monopolies, where it's like they have complete control, they control each other. Like when Coke started doing stuff, Pepsi would check it, or Royal Crown. Is this the end? This should be the end. As far as microeconomics, some formulas. I like it. Understanding module 1. So I'm going to cut the video here. I'll take this assessment at some point, and then I'll make a follow-up video where I'll actually go over the stuff for this module, this section 1. I don't know what that means, but we'll get it together. It'll be fun. Also don't mind if my voice changed in the middle of the video. It's getting old. Okay, bye.